Falcons, President Mike Davis here with Fairmont City Manager Travis Blosser. Travis, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we're in front of what was the Falcon Village Apartments about a year ago. We had a tragedy here. There was some flooding and some damage. Luckily, no life lost, and it seems like the people involved have really recovered and landed on their feet, but this space needs a lot of work. So let's talk about what we're going to do down here.
Yeah, I think it does need a lot of work, but I also think there's the factor of also talking about the university's involvement coupled with the city and getting these people into housing and working with all those agencies. So, I mean, those folks, I've never seen the kind of movement that I saw happen after that event in any type of natural disaster to get people housed and back into quality of life, in a stable environment.
Yep.
And so that speaks volumes to the partnership that the university, that we have with you, as well as the Housing Authority and other groups that really worked hard to get those people put back into housing.
Absolutely.
So I think that has to be said first. But yeah, I mean, the opportunity to revitalize this section of Locust Avenue, given it's right on the doorstep of the campus, is huge. I mean, I think that the sky is the limit of the opportunities dealing with it, as well as dealing with, in terms of that redevelopment standpoint, taking care of the stormwater issues and things that we know have plagued this area for decades.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I'm finishing up year 3. You're about
year 2.
You're finishing up year 2, and I think that both of us coming into this, you're from here, but coming in with fresh eyes, I think really we've started to see what we can do when we partner together.
Yeah, I mean, I think you and I have had a lot of conversations and our teams, partnerships. And I think this has been something that has been talked about for a long time. Of course, a tragic accident took place and devastation occurred. But this redevelopment opportunity has been talked about for years.
Right.
But it's never been able to get off the ground because at sometimes the university was in a different position than the city, and the city was in a different position than the university. And really, I think you and I have had a lot of dialogue, and our teams have, about we've got to work together.
Right.
Because we're not going to get these types of big things done without working together.
Well, Fairmont in its heyday had 50, 60, 70,000 people. We're now a little over 18,000 people. So talk a little bit about why our partnership and the redevelopment of not just these spaces, but spaces all over the city are going to be vital to bringing us back to sort of those glory days of Fairmont.
Yeah, I mean, it's the connectivity standpoint. I mean, you and I have talked about this, of Fairmont not just being a city with a university in it, but being a university city.
Right.
And I think for a long time, the focus sometimes is on the fact that students are up on the campus, staff are up on the campus, and it's kind of isolated away from everything. And then I think you'll hear we've heard feedback, both you and I have, from students as well as community members that, well, we want to bring those people off campus. Those students want off campus, but you've also got the factor that, we don't have a lot of opportunities for those folks. And so I think we've really started to have those conversations that have needed to happen for a long time that I think sometimes people get offended by, which is, sometimes this isn't the most welcoming view into what is a beautiful campus.
Absolutely.
And there's other beautiful sections of this neighborhood that have 6,000 residents living in it, but this isn't the greatest view.
Right.
And that's a tough conversation that we've needed to have for a long time without people getting offended by that and recognizing that things can change and they need to.
And I think, you and I travel all over the state, go to other places, and we see what like Elkins or Buchanan has done, or even like Charleston by the old mall, what they've done down there with Short Story and some other places. And I think that there's often this feeling, well, we can't do that in Fairmont. What do you say to those naysayers?
That's wrong. I say to people all the time, we have issues just like every one of those other communities do, but we've got to work to fix them, and we can't just ignore the reality that we have to invest in ourselves. There are no saviors. No one's coming here to save us. We've got to do the hard work together, and we have to build partnerships. And I think that's been our focus. And I mean, I know you've heard those same things on campus.
Absolutely.
We can't do that. We've talked about it before. It's never gotten anywhere. And this is a primary example of that. You've probably heard a number of people say it'll never get done. You'll never close on these. You'll never see redevelopment happen. And that's just simply not going to be the case.
Absolutely. And you and I talked very early on about part of it is just building that momentum.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the real hope for a space like this is if we can build something meaningful and we can build something that community is using here, that it leads to some momentum as we head down the street.
Yeah.
Right. As we head down to downtown. Right. Because I don't want people to think, well, we're building something out here.
Yeah.
And we want everybody from downtown to come here. No, we want there to be this connection, this pipeline between Fairmont State and the city and Fairmont State.
Yeah, I mean, all of these quality of life improvements, I mean, we've kept you all involved in our processes with Momentum Adventure Park and the trail extension process and that project moving forward. We're planning to link all of those things together, all the neighborhoods together with the campus, because those are assets and amenities that students that are currently here, but future students as well as faculty are going to be looking for those types of quality of life assets. And that's why us working hand in hand is really, really important.
Absolutely. And, I think that you and I often are the people at the podium or at the microphone, but there's an army of people behind us. And I don't just mean people that work for the city or that work for Fairmont State, but for every person that's a naysayer in our community, I think there are 5 people who are ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think we have to start responding to what those people want and need.
Well, yeah, and that, as well as we also have to understand that sometimes those naysayers have a point. There's some benefit to hearing that viewpoint, but you also can't allow it to be the only thing that breaks through the ice. You've got to let everything encompass together, and I think that's something that our teams, as well as community members and the support systems that we have around us, have really helped.
Absolutely.
We keep talking about partnerships and the opportunities here, but I know I've had a lot of conversations with you, our team has, about what this site, the properties that are going to be purchased, as well as the gravel space that's been here and owned by the university for a while, what that's going to look like. Sure. And I know you and I have talked about it, and I'm aware of some of those details, but what is this looking like from your perspective?
So right now we've got the call out to plan the demolition. So that's the first stage. And once those buildings are down, we'll actually put out 2 separate calls for proposals, one to do the demolition, but then the one we're really excited about is one to build up this space as a mixed-use development, including housing, including probably some retail, restaurants, some other pieces like that. And what we're really excited about is working with a developer who has an expertise in these sort of projects that can really engage the community. Because I've got a lot of ideas and you've got a lot of ideas about what we want to see over here. And besides, an additional place to eat on this side of town, I don't have a lot of things that I have to see as part of this development. What I have to see is a process that is interactive, that asks community members what they want to see. Because we know that if people feel like they have buy-in, when we do the ribbon cuttings here, people will be really excited and they'll show up and they'll support that, as opposed to us saying, you and I sitting in a room together, which is, I'm sure, how most people think all those decisions are made. But instead, we really want to turn the eye back to the community. One of the things I said during the press conference is, Hardway Hall is the only building on campus that faces outward. It's going to be great to have this entire frontage facing the community, right? You don't have to go to Whitehall. You don't have to go to Morgantown to eat, to shop, to do those sort of things, to live, right? You can live right here across from our campus. And we know that we'll still benefit those other communities, but there's no reason why Fairmont shouldn't get a cut of that pie too. But I keep imagining what you will see when you come around that corner, right? You come around that corner and you see something here that honestly bigger universities have and thriving universities have. They have a place for their students to go. They have a place in the summer for faculty and staff to come and have a meal, right? Or a cup of coffee or have a meeting, right? We don't always have to go downtown or Morgantown or Bridgeport to have those meetings. You can do that right here in Fairmont, and we can really start to create an economic driver for the university, but also for the city and Marion County.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to understand that I think folks have seen that the university's owned this gravel space for a while, and then now acquiring that you get those voices out there that they're buying the properties, but we'll believe it when we see it.
Right.
And I heard that with city projects that we've done, Norwood Park, that was talked about for years.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think we've had enough discussions that movement is happening and the change is coming.
Well, we've got to move fast because our enrollment is growing. So you know, when I say we have to have another place to eat, it's because our cafeteria, when all the students are here, is busting at the seams, right? Students need late night options. They need options when the cafeteria is not open. They need all of these, they need to-go options. They need all those different pieces. And so does this side of the community. You know, as I've said, you know, if you want to watch a football game, you've got hoops, and that's about it. There aren't a lot of other options right here near campus, or even on this side of town. So I think this will provide a lot of opportunity for people to connect, and then they're right across the street from our campus. So they stop thinking about us as this separate entity that's up on the hill that they just happen to drive by.
Well, and I think, you know, I talk with my team all the time, and whether that's the visitors bureau as well, talking with them, that I think sometimes people also just think, well, it's a university.
Right.
And so it's just handling that college-related aspect.
Yeah.
But there's outside of, you know, campus, there's all these other activities, things that you guys drive in, whether that's sports related, also groups that are coming and using the facility.
We do monthly movie nights. We also have a community Falcon Flyer that people can sign up for to see all of the events that are open on our community, on our campus, that are open to the community. So I encourage people to sign up for that too, because then you get to see everything that's happening. It gets pushed right to your email box. And when something like this is open, we can really push a lot more of those out there.
Yeah, and I get to see that all the time because I've signed up for it. And that drives the tax base as well. It drives the investment in people staying here and spending money, which is what it's all about.
And we know the more time our students spend on our campus, the more time our faculty and staff spend on and around our campus, the more likely we are to keep those people. And I think that's a really important part.
So Mike, we were talking about timeline on this and when we expect to see progress and people to actually start seeing some earth movement.
So I think, you know, these buildings should come down. It's, you know, it needs, our board will approve it next week, and then we'll get approval from the state. But then we're expecting these buildings to come down in September. Once we have a clean slate, we'll bring in a developer who will survey the property and then do community sessions, do campus listening sessions, but also do sessions in Marion County and the city of Fairmont to see what the community really wants to see in this space. And then I think you'll start to see earth moving during next academic year, and then probably the construction really ramping up next summer when they've got a clean slate, and you know, and we're looking forward to seeing what develops out of this too, because we know if it's just one little bright spot here, that doesn't have the same impact as if we can really help the city develop everything going down. And hopefully when people see this and they see it's vibrant, they'll say, well, what do we do next? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And that's, you got to get that momentum going, and then it sort of rolls like a snowball.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. Exciting stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your partnership. I appreciate it.
Same here, Mike.
Thanks. All right, we'll see you next month.